This is part 2 for the large oversized crochet flower scrunchie tutorial. If you have not seen part 1, I will leave a link in the description box below that you can click on that will bring you directly to that part 1. This is part 2. In the previous video for part 1 for this large oversized crochet flower scrunchie, I showed you how to work round 1, which is where I work the single crochets around the hair tie elastic. At the end of part 1, you should now have 35 single crochets worked around the hair tie elastic and have joined with a slip stitch. If you have not seen the first video tutorial for part 1, I recommend that you watch that one first and then come back for this part 2 after watching part 1 of how to work round 1 for this flower shaped hair scrunchie. All right, let's go ahead and get started, and I will show you how to work the first flower petal. Now I'm ready to begin working the petals for the flower-shaped hair scrunchie. I'm going to work each petal in rows, so I'll be working this way in rows for each flower petal. So what I want to do first, I want to go ahead and chain 1. And into that same stitch where I just joined, I will go ahead and do a single crochet. After you work this first single crochet for row 1 for the flower petal, I do recommend to use a stitch marker. So I will place the stitch marker into that stitch. So I will insert it into the top of the first stitch, the first single crochet for row 1 of the flower petal. Okay, so that's the first one. I need 5 single crochets. The first row for the flower petal will have 5 single crochets. I already have 1, so I need to do 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches along this hair tie elastic. So I'll go ahead and do 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now you should have 5 single crochets at this point. The first single crochet where the stitch marker is, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now that I have 5 single crochets, I'm ready to begin row 2 for the flower petal. So to begin row 2, I will chain 1 and turn my work. So now that I've turned my work, the stitch marker is to the left. It's facing the other way now. Okay, so the stitch marker will be furthest away from the crochet hook. So for row 2, I am going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch. So for row 2, I am going to work 1 single crochet into 5 stitches. So I'll go ahead and do my single crochet into this first stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the rest of the stitches for this row 2. Okay, so I have 4 single crochets so far. My last stitch for row 2, which is going to be single crochet number 5, will be where the stitch marker is. So I need to take my stitch marker out so I can work this single crochet into that last stitch for row 2. I don't need the stitch marker right now. I'm going to use the stitch marker when I start the next petal. So I'll go ahead and set it aside. Okay, so row 2, 1 single crochet in each stitch. When you finish row 2, you should have 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm ready to begin row 3. To begin row 3 for the flower petal, I will chain 1 and turn. Into the very first stitch for row 3, I will do a single crochet. the next stitch, I will do an increase by working 2 single crochets into the stitch to do an increase. So this next stitch, I will work 2 single crochets into the stitch. So I'll do 1 single crochet, and then into that same stitch, a second single crochet to work an increase. So for the increase stitches, I will be doing 2 single crochets into a stitch. The next stitch will have just 1 single crochet. Into the next stitch, I'm going to do an increase by working 2 single crochets into this stitch here. So I'll go ahead and do 2 single crochets into this stitch to do an increase. So I did 2 single crochets into this stitch for the increase, and then the last stitch of row 3, just 1 single crochet. So that completes row 3. When you finish row 3 for the flower petal, you should have 7 stitches. Okay, so now the next row is row 4. To begin row 4, I will chain 1 and turn my work. In row 4, I will work just 1 single crochet in every single stitch. There'll be no increases in this next row. So for row 4, it's an easy row. You just do 1 single crochet in every single stitch. And that completes row 4. When you finish row 4, you should have 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm ready to begin row 5. I'm going to start by chaining 1, and then I'll turn my work. Into the first stitch, I will do 1 single crochet. And then into the very next stitch, I am going to increase by doing 2 single crochets into the stitch. So this stitch is going to have 2 single crochets for an increase. And then I am going to do 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. So the next 3 stitches will have just 1 single crochet each. 1, 2, and 3. The next stitch, I will do an increase by working 2 single crochets into the stitch for an increase. So I'll go ahead and do 2 single crochets. So that stitch, I did 2 single crochets for an increase. And then the last stitch, for row 5, just 1 single crochet. Now I'm ready to begin row 6 for the flower petal. So to begin row 6, I will chain 1 and turn my work. And then I will work just 1 single crochet in every single stitch. So this row will not have any increases. It will just be 1 single crochet in every single stitch. And that completes row 6. When you finish row 6, you will have 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The next row, for row 7, I will start by chaining 1 and turn my work. The first stitch will have just one single crochet. For row 7, the first 4 stitches will have one single crochet each. So I'll go ahead and do one single crochet into the first 4 stitches. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first 4 stitches, one single crochet each. The next stitch, I will work 2 single crochets into the stitch to do an increase. So this stitch here will be an increase. I will work 2 single crochets into the stitch. Okay, so there's my increase. And then the last 4 stitches for row 7, one single crochet each. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that completes row 7. When you finish row 7, you should have 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So just to recap row 7, one single crochet into the first 4 stitches, then increase, and then one single crochet into the last 4 stitches for row 7. Now I'm ready to begin row 8. To begin row 8, I will chain 1 and turn my work. For row 8, I'm going to do one single crochet in every single stitch. There will be no increases in this next row for row 8. So row 8, just one single crochet in every single stitch. And that completes row 8. When you finish row 8, you should have 10 stitches. The next row is row 9. Row 9 is a repeat of row 8. There'll be no increases, just one single crochet in every single stitch for row 9 as well. So to begin row 9, I will chain 1 and turn my work, and then just one single crochet in every single stitch. And that completes row 9. When you finish row 9, you should have 10 stitches. So row 8 and row 9 were the same. It was just one single crochet in every single stitch, no increases. Now I'm ready to begin row 10 for the flower petal. For row 10, I will chain 1 and turn my work. So in row 10, I am going to decrease over the next 2 stitches. For the decrease, I am going to work these 2 stitches together. So I will work 2 single crochets together to do a decrease. I do have a video tutorial on how to do a decrease by working 2 single crochets together, and I will leave a link in the description box below in case you want to watch that video before you continue working this flower petal to do the decreases. So to work the 2 single crochets together, I will start by inserting my hook into the first single crochet, yarn over and pull up a loop. And now I'm not going to finish this stitch. Normally when you do a single crochet you would yarn over and pull through the 2 loops, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch and then yarn over and pull up a loop. So now you'll see I have 3 loops on my hook at this point. This was the loop when I did the chain 1 and turned my work. I then inserted my hook into the first single crochet and pulled up 1 loop, and then I inserted my hook into the very next stitch as well and pulled up a loop. So there is a loop pulled up from the first 2 stitches. And now I will yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to do my decrease. So I just worked 2 single crochets together to do a decrease. Into the very next stitch, I am going to work a half double crochet. To do a half double crochet, you want to yarn over and then insert your hook into the stitch where you want to do your half double crochet. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And then you'll see you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to do the half double crochet. And then I am going to do a double crochet into the next 4 stitches. So the next 4 stitches, 1 double crochet each. To do a double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. I now have 3 loops on my hook. I will yarn over and pull through just 2 loops, leaving this last one still on the hook. Then you'll have 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And that's how you do your double crochet. So that's the first double crochet, and then I will do a double crochet into the next 3 stitches. Okay, so I just did 4 double crochets after working the half double crochet. So just to recap so far, for row 10, you decrease over the first 2 stitches by working 2 single crochets together. The next stitch has a half double crochet, and then you do a double crochet into the next 4 stitches. The next stitch, I am going to work a half double crochet. Yarn over, insert my hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to do a half double crochet. And then you'll see I have 2 stitches left. I want to decrease by working these 2 single crochets together. So I will insert my hook into this stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then I will insert my hook into the last stitch and pull up a loop. And then I will yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to work those 2 single crochets together to do a decrease. So now that completes row 10. I have 1 more row to work to finish this petal. Each petal will be worked the same way. Each petal will have 11 rows. Okay, so for row 11, I will chain 1 and turn my work, and then I am going to do a decrease by working the first 2 stitches together to do a decrease. So I will insert my hook into the first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and I'm not going to finish the stitch because I want to decrease over these first 2 stitches. So then I will insert my hook into the very next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then you'll see I have 3 loops on my hook. The first loop was the one where I did the chain up and then turned my work to begin row 11. And then I pulled up 1 loop from the first stitch, and then I pulled up 1 loop from the second stitch, because those are the 2 stitches I want to decrease. So at this point I have 3 loops on my hook. I will yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to work those 2 single crochets together to do a decrease. The next stitch will have 2 stitches. This very next stitch I am going to work a single crochet and a half double crochet into the same stitch. So to begin, I will go ahead and work a single crochet into this next stitch, and then I will work a half double crochet into that same stitch where I just did the single crochet. So I'm going to go ahead, so I will go ahead and do a half double crochet into that same stitch where the single crochet is. Okay, so to recap, for row 11, you decrease by working 2 single crochets together. The very next stitch has 2 stitches, a single crochet and a half double crochet into the same stitch. And then I am going to work 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So the next 2 stitches, 1 double crochet each. Okay, that's the first stitch with a double crochet, and then the next stitch, a double crochet. So I just did 1 double crochet into those last 2 stitches. The very next stitch will have 2 stitches worked into the same stitch. This stitch will have a half double crochet and then a single crochet worked into the same stitch. So to begin the next stitch, I will work a half double crochet into the stitch, and then into that same stitch where I just did the half double crochet, I will do a single crochet. And then you'll see I have 2 stitches left for row 11. I am going to decrease over these 2 stitches by working these 2 single crochets together. So I will insert my hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then I will go ahead and insert my hook into the last stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then I will yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to work those 2 single crochets together to do a decrease. And that completes row 11, and now you can see it has that flower petal shape.